Hello everyone and welcome to episode 118 of the Cherry Heart podcast. I'm Sandra and this is a crafty podcast featuring crochet, knitting and sewing mostly. You will find the show notes for this podcast on my blog, which is cherryheart.co.uk, and I shall also put a link for that in the down bar below so that you can find it nice and easily. You'll be able to navigate this video using the timestamps, which will also be listed in the down bar below, or you can hover your mouse along the little bar at the bottom of the screen and you'll see the chapters in segments, so you can just click on the one you'd like. I'm also active on Instagram, so I'm Sandra Cherry HRT over there. That's where I post the pictures of the things I get up to. And you can find me around the web as Cherry Heart. Yes, so welcome to part 2 of the podcast. Episode 117 was kind of part 1 as it turned out. I wasn't sure if I'd fit it all into one, and I didn't, so here we are with part 2. And as I said in part 1, the timestamps will have listed the things I'm talking about in this section, so if you've missed something it might be back in episode 117 part 1, and I'll pop the link for that below so you can nip over to there, but you can see what I'm talking about in this one. So hopefully you'll be able to find what you need between those links and that information. So I'll leap straight back into it. I've been jumping around. I've talked about this on the last podcast, so nip back over to episode 117 if you want to see that. I've talked about something in progress and a finished object, so now I'm going to talk about sewing, I think. So, kind of incoming goodies, I guess, a massive incoming goodies is my brand new sewing machine. Woo! Very exciting. I've still got this bit of cloth balanced on it, which is a bit of cushion front that I made that I was hoping to repurpose into a sewing cover, but now I've got a new sewing machine, so I don't know if that will fit. And also I've got one of these snazzy little tables, which is really cool. But then if you have a sewing machine cover, do you just take the table off every time and then cover it and just put it back on when you want to use it? What's the protocol for that? What does everyone do with that? Because you can't really cover the whole thing, or do you just put a cover on the sewing machine part and leave it? What do you do? Let me know in the comments below. Yes, so that's all very exciting. That was actually a present for me, so I've got that. Just hoping I didn't tell you about that last time. Getting a bit of deja, well, not last time, the time before. Getting a bit of deja vu about that. But anyway, let's get on with it. Now I've got this exciting new sewing machine, I really felt like I must justify its existence by sewing. So I have made some things with a little help from my friends. So I have two very lovely sewing friends that I know. One is my gorgeous Sam from Betsy Makes, and the other is lovely Gaynor from Tales from Cuckoo Land. And between the two of them, they basically convinced me that I could blooming well sew, and I just had to get the heck on with it. So I finally did. So first of all is this one. So Sam talked me through doing this and made me feel like I could actually accomplish this. And then I've made another one, which, well, I'll tell you about that in a minute. So I saw a dress on the Toast website, basically, that kind of inspired me, because it was out of stock. It inspired me to go, maybe I could make something like that. So I had a pattern that was kind of similar, which is basically this. And it's a Merchant and Mills pattern, and it's called Hattie and Ellis. Now I'm pretty sure this is the Hattie version. So it's got the sleeves and it's got the darts. I think they both have pockets, but they've got different sorts of pockets. So let me see if I can stand up and show you this. Let's move the chair. Here we go. You can't quite see the length, it's quite long. I'll hold it up so you get the idea. So it's kind of like one of those very loose fitting, I don't know what the word is, like peasant dress or something, sort of tunic-y. Well, it's longer than a tunic, but very loose flowing sort of peasant dress, I think it might be called. So one of these, the Ellis, that comes without sleeves, has lining in it, and this one, Hattie, doesn't have lining in it, which was really annoying because the fabric I wanted, I'm just gonna pull this across because the sun's come round now and it's glaring quite a lot. So the fabric that I wanted to use, I felt needed a lining. So again, I spoke to Sam about what on earth I do about that, and she was like, no, you can do that, that's fine, that's fine. So thanks to her, I managed to line it as well, which is all very exciting. You can see, possibly, you can see in there that I've got it all lined. And I'm going to lift the skirt up. This is why I'm not wearing it, you see, because otherwise this would all be rather shocking. But I've even got it sort of quite nicely turned over inside, so I was quite proud of that. And it's got this little back sort of button loop, so I didn't have to do a buttonhole, thankfully. So yes, so this material that I've used, because I was scared that I wouldn't be able to sew and it would all go horribly wrong and it wouldn't fit and other sort of disastrous thoughts, I actually made this out of an old duvet cover. Yeah, so I had a sheet and the duvet cover both in this fabric, so I had quite a lot of it. And I thought, if it turns out okay, it's kind of a nice, it's relatively plain and inoffensive, quite a nice colour fabric, so I could actually wear it. And if it's hideous, then I haven't wasted a load of money on fabric, because it was just an old, you know, old bedding fabric. So that was my idea. That's sort of part of what convinced me to take the plunge, because I was sort of adamant that it was all going to go wrong. So yeah, so I'm very, very, very excited about the fact I've got something that looks like an actual wearable item, and that isn't hideous, you know. I mean, I was very, very careful. My darts are relatively neat, you know, they're not perfect, that one's a bit bleh, but you know, I did sort of go at a snail's pace and was very, very careful, and I've got something that I can wear, so that is really, really exciting. The only downside of it is, I don't know if you can sort of see on here, the shoulders are very, very wide, so it's very, and the sleeves are very tight, so I actually re-sewed these sleeves, you can see there because I haven't ironed it yet. I re-sewed the sleeves to get a little bit more space on the sleeve. I re-sewed the seams to get a little more space on the sleeves, that's what I'm trying to say. So I haven't really got a proper amount of seam in this sleeve. Plus that looks rough as old boots, I know, but so that wasn't too good, but it does fit. But the other thing is, when I lift my arms up, it really pulls on my arms and across the back. So, and if I pull this shoulder up when I'm wearing them, it fits much better. So I wanted to do a modification, but of course that seemed a bit daunting as well. But I did do it anyway. There was, if you look on the Merchant & Mills website, sorry I'm being very incoherent again, if you look on the Merchant & Mills website, there is a blog post on there which is about hacks for this pattern, the Hattie and Ellis pattern hacks, and it shows you sort of how to do various different things basically. I think there's a bit where it says about widening the neckline, because it is very tight, I think. It's a very small neckline. and I wanted to widen it, but the person who did that, she had a size 8 dress and she made a size 18 neck, and it shows you how to sort of like take the correct bits off the pattern to do that. But I've got a size 14, so I can't really go up in, you know, if there was a size 22 or 24 I could take the neck off, I'd be well away, but there isn't. So I think it goes, 18's the biggest size, so I couldn't, you know, there's a limit to the sort of the hacks, and I think it tells you how to make it longer, which is fair enough. But there's a few other bits on there. Anyway, I found that quite useful because it does at least tell you how to adapt some things in the pattern. So what I've tried to do is edit the pattern a little bit myself. So you see, now I've started, I've got all big for my boots and think I can start adapting patterns. So I've sewn up a little mock version of my adaptation. So I did use the 18 neck to get it a little bit wider, and I also sewed a bit deeper seam. So on the pattern it says to sew 1 centimetre on the neck and 1.5 centimetres everywhere else. So I did that 1.5 centimetre on the neck as well, just to get it out a little wider. So it's still not as wide as I would choose, but it is more comfortable now. It doesn't sort of feel like it's butting up against my neck all the time, because I kept, with this one I sort of wanted to pull it down a bit. And I also sort of tweaked the pattern to bring the shoulders in a little bit, to bring these arms up, and that worked quite well. Certainly when I'm wearing it, it fits a lot better, and I can move my arms a lot more, but just not quite enough. It's not perfect, it's not far off, it's a lot better, but it's not perfect. So what I just lost a little bit of along here. If this sort of patch from here to here was a little bit wider, it would be perfect, I think. So I almost want to modify it again, but I don't know how. So when I modified it last time, I literally traced off the pattern bits and then kind of tucked this bit to bring the shoulder up, but it kept the sleeve shape exactly the same, because I thought I don't want to mess with the sleeve, because then the sleeve won't fit and I won't know what I'm doing. So I did that and that kind of worked, but now I really want on the pattern piece, the sleeve really comes in quite wide like that, whereas on the back it comes up really nice and straight. I thought if I had that extra fabric there, that would probably be enough and that would be perfect, but I don't know how to modify that sort of sleeve opening and then correspondingly modify the sleeve, and yeah, we're getting beyond me now for sure. So I could just go with this for my finished fabric, because I've still got mine lovely, it's up there actually. I've still got my fabric I want to use for my toast dress recreation, which I haven't cut into yet because I want to faff around and get this right. Yeah, I'm not sure whether to go for it on this or whether I could somehow sort of tweak that and just get a little bit more freedom across there, so it just pulls ever so slightly across the bust, which I don't want. Yeah. So this fabric, again, it was another duvet set from around the same era, as you can see, because it's the same colour. But this one, I thought, with these big swirls on, I'm not likely to wear this, so I thought this would be good for my little experimental pieces. So that's the first one. So I started, this was the last thing I sewed. This was the first thing I sewed, or at least got halfway through. And then so my other lovely friend Gaynor, from Tales from Cuckoo Land, hello Gaynor, she had recommended to me this dress pattern. It's a Starlark, whoops, it's a Starlark pattern, and I think it's called the Montana dress. She said, oh, this is a nice and simple one, there's only a few pattern pieces, you can do this, you know, get going. So I got the pattern and I opened it up and I read it and I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I sort of follow some of it, but some of it I don't quite understand. And so Gaynor had said to me, oh, the instructions for this are really weird. She said, but you could make it really easily without, you know, in a much simpler way. And these instructions are unnecessarily complicated, basically. So she said, I'm going to record you a little video so you know what we're doing, so you know what you're doing, because you can definitely do it. So bless her, she recorded a little video. I think she's actually put it up now as well, which is really good because it is great. And if you are a beginner sewer, I can definitely recommend this pattern with her tutorial to make it nice and easy for you, and she'll guide you through it. And yeah, it's brilliant. With her help doing that, I could sew this in no time at all. I mean, you need to know a few things, like there's a few things to Google if you've never sewn anything before, like sort of bias binding and things like that. She didn't go into everything, but just to have someone sort of say, look, the pattern, do you know what I mean? Just like having a friend there and sort of going, no, sew that bit to that bit and do that. Yeah, do that, because then, and just those little helpful tips like, oh, if you do that, that won't happen. You're like, ah. So that was fantastic. So thank you, Gaynor. You are absolutely the best. So yeah, that was brilliant. So I used her lovely little video and I sewed this up, and I'm so happy with it. It's very much in the same sort of style because I was explaining to her about the toast dress and all this. And she said, this will hit the spot. So I'll show you, I'll stand up and show you this one in a sort of model. There we go. So it's very similar sort of style of thing. So I could, again, it's quite a bit of length there. It's very baggy style, that nice gathered skirt. It's got pockets as well. The other one has pockets. Yes, so this one actually just fits beautifully. There's no sleeves, so I don't have to worry about the armholes lifting up, but it has got, it is wider, it is slightly different sort of in its shaping, but it just fits perfectly. You put it on and it just feels comfortable. So I was really happy with that, and just with Gaynor's help, sort of just doing the sleeves and the neckline a different way and everything. It's just so easy, and yeah, it was just brilliant. Oh, and I even did French seams as well, which I was really happy with, because you saw my sleeve seam on that other one. If you see here, sorry about the hanger banging, look at that, so much neater. So again, I would never have attempted that without Gaynor sort of going, look, this is how you do it, just do it. So that was brilliant. So both of those two, thank you so much to Gaynor and Sam, because you really got me going. You got me off my bum and actually sewing something, so that's fantastic. So yeah, so with my lovely fabric that I haven't cut into yet, I could just make this one, because I know this will make a dress that I would definitely wear. But I am still a little bit hung up because I'm a stubborn mule on the fact that the toast dress that I saw had sleeves, and I want my one to have sleeves. So I've either got to tinker with this and see if I can get it, mess around with the sleeves and get that right, which I'm a bit scared of, or I could somehow attempt to make sleeves for this, but I've no idea how. So I may need another consultation with my sewing expert friends to suss that one out. But yeah, very pleased. I've actually made something and it's actually wearable. So now I want to buy all the patterns and all the fabric. I have got a few other patterns to try actually. So yeah, very excited about that. And then my other thing to show you is a work in progress. A work in progress and another incoming goodie actually. So once I finished this, I had lined up in my head that I wanted to knit a cardigan next, and I wanted it to be in this beigey colour. This is all part of the toast dress vision. So it's going to be the navy blue and sort of tan check, and it's going to have this sort of tanny browny cardigan to go with it, and it's all going to be scrumptious and lovely, and that's the vision. So I'm working on the dress now. Now I've got to work on the cardigan. So I have made a start but I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see anything particularly worthwhile. Let's try and show you what I've got. Yes, that looks like a cardigan, doesn't it? Absolutely. Right. So what I've got here is the sort of back, shoulders, and then this will be, so that's coming over my shoulders. This is the front, and I'm just knitting down the other front now. Needles getting stuck everywhere. Right, so that's the other front coming down. And then I think once I've got this other front the same length as this, then I think I join front of the sleeves and start knitting in the round. So the button band, if you like, is knit on as you go along. Although I don't think it's even got buttons, so you know, it's just a band. It's not a button band, it's a band. Let me show you the pattern before we go on. Keep not looking at the camera again. I mentioned last time, if you watched last time, I'm on my iPhone instead of my camera and I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Right, here we go. This is the pattern. It's called Growing, and there's two versions, a long and a short. And there's the designer name. Huggen Streak. Is that like huggy sticks? Like that Danish word hugga stick. I don't know. Anyway, that's the lady's name. And that's that is her website. It's Danish. There's her web address. Yes, so there's a long and a short version, and so she's knitted on 4.5mm needles. That's US 7, and I have gone up 2 needle sizes. I'm doing 5.5. So where she's got her 2 yarns held together, see, I'm thinking if it's 2 4-plies, it should come out roughly an Aran weight, a worsted weight, but that's a bit small needles and things for Aran weight, if you ask me. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, so I've gone up to 5.5s, US 9, and my gauge is about there, so I think once I'm blocked I should be good. So hopefully it's all right. So the back has got this nice sort of little wide rib thing, and then the front is supposed to be the same. This sort of rib, you're supposed to carry it down. But I saw on Ravelry someone had done a project where they'd done garter stitch here, and I quite liked how it looked, so I thought I would do the same. Because I've done a couple of cardigans just recently where it had, instead of the button band, it had like long ribbon going down, and it just sits and you don't really see that there's ribbon there because the pearl bump just gets lost. So I thought I'd rather go for this, or kind of so you could see something was there. And it's got like an I-cord edging which I left on. I'm not sure if the person who changed it in their project did, but that's what I've done. So hopefully that will be okay. Yeah. So I'm not sure. Oh, yarn, that's the next thing. So the yarn I'm using again is another Drops one. I had this in Stash, so it's Drops Puna, I guess is how you say that. Colour 04, which I think was just called Taupe. I think that's what it was called. Yes, so I had, how many, like 12 did I have? Anyway, I'm not sure if I'll have enough. I think I've got enough for the pattern as it's written, but generally I tend to be a little bit longer in the body, so generally I make the sleeves and the body a little bit longer, so I don't know if I'll run out of yarn for that. I might, but we'll see. So I'll start with what I've got, and if I have to buy some more, I have to buy some more, and if it doesn't match, well, that will just be sad. And I'm also knitting it on some new needles. So I've been preferring wooden needles lately. Anyway, I was looking because I needed a different size. I was looking for a set, and I thought, because I'm still missing quite a few, actually I'll look and see if there is a set rather than just a pair of needles. And I stumbled across this. So this is a Knit Pro set, and I think it's called, actually I think it says in here, Knit and Sip. There we go. So it's like a coffee collection. I think it was done around Christmas time. It sort of says like a coffee gift set or something like that. Anyway, this was on Amazon. I found this. So it's got kind of its coffee motif, and it actually came with 2 little espresso mugs as well, which I didn't particularly love, to be honest with you. They weren't my, I was going to say they weren't my cup of tea. They weren't my cup of coffee either. But it has got these beautiful, lovely wooden needles in, which are really nice brown colours. They've also stamped on like a coffee name, so each side has got its own name of coffee. So you've got a cappuccino one, and a macchiato, an espresso, an americano, or whatever, which I could have done without, really, in all honesty. But I do really like the wooden needles, and when I've had wooden needles before, and they print on the needle, the print kind of wears off. So I'm sort of hoping that might happen with these and they get worn off, because they have actually printed the size on these ones. Don't know if that's going to focus. Which they don't always do on the Knit Pro ones. None of my others have them on. They sort of print them on the shaft and then they just rub off and you don't know what they are, so you have to get a, what do you call it, a needle measuring hole, pokey thingamajiggy to measure them. So that's quite good that they're printed on down there, I think. And yes, yeah, so that's really lovely, a lovely little set. And then underneath, got quite a big space underneath, and in there's like a little, I'll show you because I've taken it out because I was using it. She says a little coffee bean, and that's got the cables and the little end stoppers on. So that goes in there. So it's quite a big box. So I think I will make like a little case, just a little fold up fabric case to pop the needles in and that in. And then I might jettison this because it's quite nicely done. It's sort of velvety and it keeps them nice, and I like the little, that these come out and you've got a nice recessed, but you know, you could put your pattern and all sorts in there. But it is quite bulky for just holding some thin little bits of wood essentially. So I might jettison the box and just put them in a little carry case. So that was my other incoming goodie, and I think finally that's it. I think I've covered everything I wanted to talk about now and caught you all up. And yes, I will see you next time. So I hope you find some lovely relaxing crafting time until we speak again, and I'll see you then. Bye.